Hi, my name is John Mcluckie and I'm a very lucky, very blessed level 3 Qhht practitioner and professional hypnotherapist. And I'm just reading a beautiful book by David Kessler and one of my all-time heroes in life, a beautiful woman called Louise Hays, and it's all about grief and losing loved ones. And it just triggered so many memories and so many sessions that I've had of beautiful sessions, not only Qhht, but I also do like psychic channeling sessions for clients as well. So I'll actually get them in touch with their deceased loved ones. It can be so healing. Instead of people going to a psychic or a channeler or medium or something like that, I've always thought, well, isn't it better for you just to go and see them and visit them yourself? So they can be the most healing, unbelievably emotionally healing sessions ever. And they're probably my favorite. And what got me hooked on them was I heard a story from a guy another hypnotherapist, years and years and years ago. And the story went, a lady, she was a single lady, brought up her son by herself. He was in the army and he got killed in the army. And he had a huge life insurance payout, a huge one. And she always refused to spend it because in her mind, as soon as she spent it, well then that's her accepting that he was actually gone. And she got into a lot of financial strife and she was going to lose pretty much everything. So she had no answers, and she went and saw him just to get some guidance and counselling and stuff like that. And he put her into a hypnotic state, and then her son turned up. And her son was saying, "Mum, don't be so silly. That money was for you. I knew what was going to happen. So this money is for you. So go and spend it." And he was fine. And he showed her where he was. He was in this beautiful, beautiful place up in the spirit world. And she came out of hypnosis and she was crying her eyes out. And it was so healing for her that she didn't feel guilty at all. She was quite happy, and she saved herself, basically. She saved her house and her financial position. And I've got so many stories. And one of my favorite sessions is when a client will see a passed over relative or loved one. I had a lady not so long ago. She actually had her session on her daughter's birthday that had crossed over. It hadn't been that long, and she came in, and when she came in she was holding her daughter's teddy bear, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a tearjerker, this one. So in her session, she had a Qhht session, and then it was in one of her questions if she could see her daughter and make sure that she was okay. So she actually went to a different past life, and then I was asking her higher self or a higher consciousness just about her daughter and just seeing if she was okay and what was going on and where was she, and so her higher self showed her where her daughter was, and her daughter was she was still in a resting place. But she came out of the resting place and she was so happy to see her mum, and I think from memory her grandmother was there as well, or her great-grandmother was there, and she was looking after her. So it was very much a family connection, and she got in touch with her, and she was so happy and she was so loving, and she was really, really getting looked after. And she explained why she had to pass and how she passed, because it was pretty tragic. But she explained to her mum why she wrote that in her contract and the bigger picture to her soul evolution. I had one girl, she came in and she was just so depressed, she held this deep grief, and she never knew where it came from, but she felt like she had it all her life, because she was only young, she was only in her early 20s, and she could just feel it bubbling, and it was like an underlying current of depression. And in her session, she was in the most beautiful place ever. And then she was looking around, she goes, oh, I feel like I'm just walking. And then she just started bawling her eyes out. And I said, what's going on? And she was crying, she could hardly even talk, so I just waited for her to settle down a bit. And it was her grandmother. And it all come flooding back to her. She said when she was a little girl, when she was about 3 or 4 years old, her grandmother died, and they were so close, they loved each other so much. And ever since that second that she found out that her grandmother died, that's when she was hanging on to the grief. And because it was so long ago, she just thought that she always had it, and she never knew what caused it. So her grandmother turned up. Her grandmother was hugging her and telling her how much she loves her. And her grandmother was saying, I'm your guardian angel now, I'm looking after you. And it really, she just released that sadness and that pain instantly. It was just instant. And she is in full connection with her grandmother now, and it really changed her life. And she had no idea where the depression and this deep sadness and sorrow came from. And another one is, I had a beautiful client, absolutely beautiful. She's a dear friend of mine now, and I love her to bits. And she really had her soulmate. They were married for decades and decades. I think it was 42 years or 52 years or something. And he passed, and the grief that she held onto was just absolutely terrible, and the guilt that she had, because when he passed, he had a slow death, so she knew it was coming, but then when he passed, the guilt that she carried because she wasn't there when he passed. And so he came to her in her session, and every single time it is just the emotion. I can't even explain the emotion, but there's tears, but they're not tears of sorrow, and they're not tears of sadness. They're just tears of elation and joy and love. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's one thing for a psychic to say, oh, your grandmother's here or your mum's here, but for somebody to see them and to just talk to them one-on-one without any outside influence, it's just different level stuff. And it's so beautiful, so beautiful. Another lady, and she felt really guilty because she gave somebody a message to go and pick something up, and then on the way, the other lady that she gave the message to had a crash and she died, and she felt so guilty. And she held on to that guilt for years, and it just churned away, and it started eating at her, and she couldn't get it out of her head. And she came in for a session, and in her session she actually saw the lady that died, and they weren't really good close friends, but the lady who died was there, and she was fine, and she explained that was part of her journey, and she actually thanked her because she got released from a lot of stuff. And straight away the lady felt all her guilt that was all bubbling in within her just release, and it really changed her life. So I'm so grateful for reading the book from Louise Hays and David Kessler. It's a beautiful book. It's called You Can Heal Your Heart, and there's a lot on it on grief when you're going through divorce, but what really triggered me was when you lose a loved one. And remember, we're all souls, and we're all spirits having a human experience. Sometimes people have to pass, and it's to teach us our lessons and love and compassion and not control. A lot of people feel guilty, or they feel blame when somebody else passes. They think that it's their fault. So this is why these kinds of sessions, either a psychic or a channeling session or a Qhht session, can just be so healing. It's different level healing. So if you are interested, feel free to jump on my website. I'll put the link down below. Feel free just to scroll through it. There's lots of interesting things. Feel free to jump on the YouTube channel. I've got lots of, if you're a Dolores Cannon fan, I've got lots of really rare videos that I've been searching and hunting for, that I've found lots of little treasures, and there's a few meditations on there as well. So feel free to scroll through and press like and subscribe and leave a comment if you want to. And thank you so much for listening, and it's a beautiful day here. And always remember, life loves you. Love life. It's awesome. It's amazing. Love it. Thanks.